is, let's say I'm outsourcing work to somebody and they do it and I record it in uLaw and invoice it. Does the revenue of mine actually get affected? The answer is no. Yes, when you record it and you raise an invoice under your company, the revenue is recorded. However, there's an expense for that, right? And the two will actually match out. Let's show this in an example. For example, let's say for this client, Andre Agassi, you're outsourcing some work to some law office. So let's add that as a disbursement. So we can say, hey, this is a consultancy service that I'm doing. Let's say consultancy fee, right, of I'm going to make it like $300, right, just to prove that everything is working out great. So $300 is what you are actually charging the client. And let's say this work was actually performed by John's law office and not by you. And John is also charging $300, right? Like, and you have, you basically are paying him from the general account. So $300 you paid to John, and that's what you're charging to the client. Remember this line here. Whenever there's an expense, the top portion is what you're charging your client. The bottom is what you're basically, spending for it. So I'm going to now do a save here. And I'm going to raise an invoice. So this is where the confusion is. Many people think like, hey, when you raise an invoice, it's actually, revenue for me, which is true, but it's also an expense and they should match out. So let's do a quick invoice here, and I'm going to skip the preview and I'm going to download the invoice, and then we'll look at reports to see how this is all done in uLaw. The first thing that we should look at is what I call the HST report. So let's finish the invoice. So now let's go to the HST report. So I'm going to accounts, I'm going to taxes, and let me look at my HST report. I'll look at it for today, only today, right? Like, so that way it will make sense. So here's my HST report for today. As you see here, there's a consultation fee, HST paid for $39, and there's a receipt. So the net return is $0. Already you're seeing that the HST is all marked out even. Now let's go back to the software and we can do other reports. Like, for example, let's do a revenue report, right? Like, I'm going to do a detailed P&L. Again, I'll do it for today, right? So that way we can kind of see how the P&L report is. And as you will now see, this is your revenue report, and this is where it's very clear. As you see, the revenue today that you got because of disbursement is $300. That's the invoice you raised, but then the consultancy that you paid is $300. So total is again $0. So hopefully this explains you well that how uLaw does is in the chart of accounts. I'll explain that. So in the chart of accounts, you should now go to revenue and recovery of expense. What you will see here is the $300 consultancy revenue that you actually made. If you actually click on the description, it'll tell you how it was charged. Accounts receivable was $393.39, expenses is a revenue, and then HST receivable is $39. However, if you actually go to the expense section, right, under client expense, right, consultancy expense under John's law office, you will see the opposite. You will now see, John's law office paid $300, HST payable is $39, and that is $339 here. Clearly, as you saw here, the revenue that you made has matched with expenses. That means the net for your tax purposes, your HST, GST, everything is $0. Hopefully this video explains the complexity behind consultancy expense.